Yesterday, for those of you who were with us, we had a agency carousel in which we asked 4 competition agencies to showcase what they do with computational tools. This year, we decided to invite 2 companies to showcase the tools that they have developed. I will pass the floor to Kirill, and I'm sure we'll insist on the same, but just to make it very clear, those 2 companies are not sponsors. We are not receiving money from those companies or any other companies. They are solely invited because we thought that what they do is something for you to discover. On that, Kirill, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Thibaut. Just to confirm, everyone can hear me, right? With the perfect.
Yes.
Well, so yet again, welcome everyone, and I'm really pleased that everyone here is joining us for this conference today for the second day of our Computational Antitrust. And we will move to our next panel of today, when we are going to be discussing the questions of actual application of computational antitrust in practice. And today with us are Natalie and Daniel. And thank you so much for both of you for joining us. And I hope you will as well enjoy the panel equally as all of our participants. Without further ado, I would like to ask both of you to first introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you also came into this legal tech basically landscape. And then we can start with your presentations. And after both of your presentations, we will move to the Q&A questions, of course. So I will now mute myself and disappear.
Sure. Hi, so I'm Daniel Schwarz. I've been working as a competition lawyer for more than 10 years in a Magic Circle firm in London, in a competition authority, and then also at the IMF in Washington as their competition law lead. And I absolutely love competition law. I love how it's academic, I love how it's purposeful, I love how it's connected to and rooted in economics. And I'm going to be doing competition law for the rest of my life. But then my world changed when I saw ChatGPT, seeing the way it wrote so beautifully, how it structured ideas, and it became clear that competition law is not only my future, but also AI is going to be the future in so many industries, and law is no exception. And so that's really what brought me to legal tech, to computational antitrust, and seeing how we can marry both competition law and AI to find tools that can really help competition lawyers.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Natalie?
Hi, my name is Natalie DeCesare. I'm a recent law grad in 2022, and I found my way to the world of legal tech kind of non-traditionally. I worked as legal operations for a technology company specializing in criminal record clearing. So that was like my first taste of how technology can enable really justice impact endeavors. And I wound up finding my way to Casetext, where I'm now the AI prompting specialist on a team of other prompters. And I'm very excited to see the intersection of legal and tech so early in my career, and pretty much intersecting with every legal use case you can imagine, today being antitrust. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I must say that I'm also really pleased that both of you are now in this pretty novel but also peculiar field. I myself also started my legal career also as a legal engineer at my law firm. So I was basically doing the facilitation of legal reasoning and processes through the corporate point of view. And great to see that there are more of us in that endeavor, and let's see where we can go.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Perfect. So hi again, my name is Natalie, and I'm going to introduce you all to CoCounsel. Just to preface, Casetext, the developers of CoCounsel, was recently acquired by Thomson Reuters, best known for Westlaw. So just wanted to throw that out there, but we can continue on now. So like many of you probably already know, CoCounsel is built off of OpenAI's GPT-4, the most sophisticated and advanced large language model. What's really unique about CoCounsel, though, and why I'm excited to talk to you all, is because some people fear that legal tech is going to replace lawyers or replace the due diligence that lawyers do. But here at Casetext, we see CoCounsel as a tool for lawyers to delegate those sophisticated and substantive legal work So to free their time to the more strategic and the work that only humans can do. And that's what we're really excited about co-counsel bringing into the legal field. So real brief, co-counsel differs from public LLMs in a couple very strategic ways. First of all, we use retrieval augmented generation. So unlike those crazy news reports we see where there's a lot of hallucinations and tech could be very good at making up very convincing legal arguments and just pretend case law. We don't have that problem with co-counsel because it's rooted in sources of truth. It shows its work. It cites its sources, and it's the lawyer's responsibility. The lawyer is always in control, whatever legal professional is using it, to verify before you produce that final work product. It's also trained by lawyers and sophisticated engineers like you all have experience in. And lastly, it's on secured servers and we value confidentiality. We're not using one use case's prompts to train for someone else's use cases. So high level overview, I think co-counsel is exciting because it probably has a skill for whatever legal use you need. Whether you're an antitrust litigator, you're more on the transactional side, I have no doubt we probably have a skill that you could use. So I listed out the top probably 10 use cases, but just to reiterate, co-counsel has an antitrust lens. So it's domain specific. So once again, we're not talking about an AI chatbot that's linked to the internet that thinks that it might know some law. It knows the legal documentation and it is domain specific. And it actually can understand your specific use case. So if you click one more time, I asked co-counsel, I asked case text, do you understand what an antitrust lawyer even does? And it does. It understands that it's an intersection of sophisticated law and economics and negotiations, and there's litigation built in, and it can take all that complicated persona and put it in and build that into its responses you give us. So if you keep clicking, I just listed out the top 10, what we think are the top 10 use cases for antitrust legal professionals. And I'm going to briefly go through one by one. Maybe at the Q&A, if you have any follow-up questions, that would be a good time for that. But let's go on to the first one. So reviewing documents for antitrust violations. This is a really exciting and a very common use for co-counsel for you all. So you could provide co-counsel an array of different documentation. It could be emails, different types of correspondence, text files, memos, internal and external. We take all that documentation and you could query co-counsel to identify potential anti-competitive activities or antitrust violations and ask for specific pieces of communication. So it will not only identify yes, no, that type of information exists in your data set, but yes, here it is, here's the source, and here's some analysis on it. So if you click one more time, should show us the prompt. So since I'm going from a prompting lens, you would prompt co-counsel like, please identify potential evidence of anti-competitive activities or antitrust violations in these documents. And the really exciting part is that co-counsel knows what these words mean, what legal jargon is. So you don't have to spend the time giving it a ton of definitions and really nuanced prompting. Now, if you get to that level, that's when an expert like myself comes in and is assigned the case and we get to work together. So not a bad idea, but it understands the jargon and it, moreover, doesn't just think of it explicitly. So it won't just look through all your documentations and say, oh, I don't on surface level see something that relates to your question. So it doesn't exist. It understands nuance and implied language and correlation. So it will at least give you an overbroad answer that you can finesse and fine tune to your legal considerations. Competitive data analysis is another big feature I think antitrust legal professionals would like. So for example, you could take, let's say you've already done the work, you have some market analysis, you've done some of your own research, and you don't want that to go to waste just because you're using this cool co-counsel tool. You don't have to. You could upload all that documentation and hard work, and co-counsel can iterate off of it. So you could formulate questions related to those legal considerations that you care about. And for example, this goes, co-counsel, please answer these questions. the list of questions you've already formulated based on the uploaded work product that you have given it. And it could go through and really enhance and enable all the hard work you've already done, which I find fascinating because many of our users, they have years of experience, a big law firm experience. They have tons of documentation. They already know how to do what they do to the best of their ability. They need a tool that can enable everything they've already created, and CoCounsel is perfect for that. Reviewing competitive agreements, this is a standard one, but a very important one too. So you can upload your contracts or other types of agreements, and CoCounsel has the ability to assess whether the contracts raise potential concerns. Because it is tested on sources of truth, legal documentation, it understands the best practices and the worst practices and concerns in your legal lens, in this case, antitrust. So you can ask a question, review these contracts and identify if the terms of a non-compete clause are excessive in their duration or geographic scope. That sounds like a question you'd ask a co-counsel or a coworker, or maybe your new associate. Co-counsel can do that very same thing. You could delegate these kind of questions, these kind of starting areas of work to get you off the ground and get your case moving forward quicker. And identifying antitrust issues during due diligence. This is a big one too. So many of you probably have to deal with dozens and hundreds maybe of contracts and reviewing M&A deals. Well, what's really interesting is that you could expedite the due diligence process because co-counsel can flag the potential concerns. Similar to the last use, this is a little different. So it could analyze these contracts, and you could just give it very general terminology, and it can flag all the potential price fixing issues. And you could go through issue by issue. So if you've already have your way of doing things, and these are the set issues, and you need to find these, you go one by one and you prompt co-counsel, and it will find and flag those issues. And you could actually use other skills to then maybe draft a correspondence or a memo or do further legal research. It's really interesting the interplay all the different skill sets can have to produce the best outcome. And then case law analysis. So this is one of our most common use skills. It's our legal research memo skill. So let's say you hand this off, you delegate some of this work to a new associate, and they need some help, but thankfully you all have hired co-counsel. And so you could, prompt the co-counsel to go through some precedents and find the baseline starting place to do your own research. And it can provide it in a structured memo that details the case law, the analysis, cites its sources. So you could go in and instead of being nervous about hallucinations, it will cite every single source and it will hyperlink to that source. So you could read it for yourself and you can finesse and fine tune it as needed. So an amazing use of delegating to the best of its ability. I really like this one. I think it's pretty cool. I value the fact that many of our clients or users of co-counsel already have very strict business practices and policies that they adhere to, that they need to utilize in every kind of contract they review. And so what you could do with co-counsel is you could upload a database of all your contracts you need reviewed. Then you could tell co-counsel your business policies or your internal policies that you need every contract to align with, and it will go through and analyze every contract and flag any situation where it may not be aligned with your internal policies. This is a really great way to make sure that compliance is being considered, and it's being done very, very quickly, literally minutes instead of hours spending time doing this. This one is an important feature too. So again, if you're not sure where to start, or you have a lot of past filings, the DOJ or FTC, and you need to sift through them and get a sense of what in the world is going on, you could create a database of all those past filings. And then you could ask co-counsel, can you identify information about this very specific type of situation that might be your situation? And you could go through that over and over again. So again, co-counsel is an excellent place, a starting place for your research or ending place for your research. This one, I think my manager really emphasized to me as someone who was a previous antitrust litigator, how important the second request process is. So co-counsel, you can upload all your relevant documentation, create your own, unique database, and then given the questions from the DOJ or FTC, you could ask co-counsel instead, here's the question the DOJ sent over for our second request. Can you please identify any documentation within our data set that properly answers or addresses this question? I think that's a phenomenal use of co-counsel in the antitrust space, saving hours of time. And from there, you can continue to fine-tune and find all the documentation you need to properly answer those second requests. A really important regulatory step that co-counsel can assist you with. And summarization. Who doesn't like someone summarizing everything for you and giving you the high notes? Co-counsel can do that too. I think it's really important in the regulatory space where there's always seems to be something new being published, and it's always very long and tedious to read, but necessary. Well, co-counsel is able to summarize to whatever depth and breadth that you need. So you could ask for brief, detailed, comprehensive, and again, it's always showing its work and citing its sources. And that's the gist of my presentation. So I'm really excited to answer questions after Daniel gets his chance, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, absolutely fascinating. I must say personally as well, from my personal experience, what was happening, I think it was great. Thank you so much. Daniel, would you like to go further? And then we're going to go to Q&A.
Great, thank you. So welcome to Competition AI. We're using AI to make life easier for competition lawyers. And we're building products for the whole competition law community, whether it's law firms or in-house or competition authorities, whether you're doing competition or FDI work, research or M&A, whether you're in the US, Europe, Asia, or elsewhere. So I'm going to tell you who we are, what we've released so far, what comes next, and also how people who are excited and interested in AI and how it can be used in competition law, how they can get involved and become part of the journey. And I should mention first that Competition AI isn't connected to any particular law firm. So who are we? Well, I mentioned before how I've been working as a competition lawyer for 10 years, and the way I saw the world completely changed after ChatGPT was released, in particular GPT-4, now, which is the most advanced model, which was released a few months ago. So I spoke to one of my best friends, Johnny, who's, I mentioned, an absolute tech genius. And we started building tech, and we experimented, tested, and pretty soon we realized that we could actually build AI products that can really help competition lawyers. But it's one thing to experiment, and it's another thing to actually build production-ready software that could be used by lawyers in the real world. So we put together a team with AI expertise, machine learning expertise, user experience, user design experience, and we started working on more detailed products. So what have we released so far? So ChatGPT is amazing at writing. It's beautiful at structuring ideas, but if you ask it a question, especially if it's in a niche area, if it doesn't have the answer, sometimes it can hallucinate, it can make things up. And it can also be difficult to check the source of the information. So what we did is we decided to build ChatGPT, but for competition lawyers. So if you want to know how to use it, so first go online to www.competitionlaw.ai, and thank you, Thibaut, for including the link. You decide which jurisdiction you want to ask a question about, and you'll see there's four. There's CMA for the UK, European Commission, obviously for the EU, a US one, and one for financial services, who is the UK focusing on competition, just because that's where my personal practice area was. So you decide which jurisdiction you want to ask a question about, and then you ask your question in the box. And what happens is Competition AI uses AI to search through thousands of pages of competition authority guidance. It then uses that to identify the information that's relevant. It uses that information to answer the question, and then crucially, it shows you the source of that information. And what this means is that answers are grounded in competition law guidance, and it shows you the sources, so you can independently verify that the answer is accurate. We launched this around a month ago, And already it's being used by more than 50 organizations, law firms, competition authorities in more than 20 countries. And if you haven't used it, then you're missing out and you need to catch up. The day that we launched, OpenAI was having some issues. They were doing their own products upgrades, and out of sheer bad luck, the OpenAI API stopped working or it slowed down. So if you've tried to use competition AI, particularly in the early stages, and it seemed a bit slow or you didn't get the answer you were looking for, then please do try again, because those issues of competition AI have now been resolved. So what comes next? So I've showed you the first draft of our first product, and what we've released so far, as I said, is just the first draft. We called it an advanced testing version, and we're just finalizing a major upgrade. So in a few days, when you take a look at the product again, you go to the website, you'll see it actually looks very different to what it is now. So watch this space. We've also been building some other really exciting products, and they use AI to help competition lawyers. We have a team of AI, machining and learning and user experience experts building them. And it's worth taking a step back. What are we trying to achieve here? Ultimately, this is trying to make competition lawyers' lives easier. It'll make their work more accurate. It'll make our work more efficient. And ultimately, that's going to benefit clients. It's going to enable us to win more work as lawyers. As I said, I'm a competition lawyer. I'm going to be a competition lawyer for the rest of my life. I've been building products with the team that I know will help competition lawyers. And it's not just for law firms. It's also for in-house. It's for competition authorities. And so if you have an idea, something that you want, something you're trying to achieve, then we can build it. So definitely reach out. I was speaking to the general counsel of a competition authority the other day, and she was saying how what we've built in our search techniques would actually be really helpful for them as a competition authority. And so it's really something that's worth looking at in more detail to see how we can help you. We're building products for the whole competition law community, and community for this really matters for me. The whole goal is to benefit competition lawyers. So if you're interested in that, if you want to be part of the journey, if you want to provide feedback, if you want to say how you think you can help our products, if you want to get involved, then email me at daniel@competitionlaw.ai. And also sign up to competitionlaw.ai to see how the product works for yourself. Send it to your colleagues to see what they think. And as I said, most people are really starting to use these products. So don't be the one who's left behind by AI. So this is fun. It's the future because it's AI. And really, I think it's also the future of competition law. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, and happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much, Daniel. It was also extremely interesting to see how you applied it specifically to the competition law field and to make, basically more precise application of AI to one specific field of law. I think I'll start with one question, which has been puzzling, I believe, many people in the legal industry. I think the predominant amount of law firms, we're currently working on the fee basis, right? So we bill our clients per hour, which we're working on. And here, of course, it's great. It makes our work more efficient, but it also decreases time we spend on a case. And the question is, how do you think automation of the procedure is gonna improve or gonna fit within the notion of billing? Question to both of you, so you can take turns and let me know what are your thoughts about it.
So maybe I should go first. So a few things. Firstly, law firms have to put the interests of their clients first. And if there is software which can make work done faster, more accurately, and more efficient, clients are not going to go to law firms if there's a better way of doing things, and law firms are intentionally doing that. And in reality, what we see is huge amounts of innovation using AI to put clients first by law firms. Secondly, in-house lawyers are trying to do much more with loads of demands, but with fewer resources. So this enables in-house competition lawyers to do more and to send less work out to law firms. And then thirdly, this is also going to help competition authorities because they also do lots of research. They do lots of tasks which can be automated and assisted using AI. So I think it's something that's worth thinking, but AI is the future and those issues are going to be resolved.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Natalie, what would be your take on that?
I think everything Daniel said is completely true. I would just add, at least in the United States, what we're seeing is different state bar associations are passing advisory materials saying how law firms are allowed to bill if they're going to be using AI, not to bill extra to make up the billable hours they're saving by using technology. So it's a very fluid process right now, but I think more and more we'll see advisory opinions from state bars, at least in the US, advising law firms on how they're allowed to bill their clients if they're using tools like AI that expedite the work materials so quickly, where now they could take on more work and probably honestly bring more profit into their company because they're working faster and smarter.
Absolutely right.
Thank you so much. I must say, I absolutely agree also with your take. And at the end of the day, long-term speaking, if you don't automate, someone else will, and then very long-term, you will lose. Well, that also perfectly brings us to another question I got from the audience, and it directs to you again, Natalie. The question is, does co-counsel operate for jurisdictions outside of the United States? And does it adapt to different legal systems in that respect? So like European law applicability in different member states and other persuasive legal sources.
Sure, thank you for whoever asked that question. So in 2024, co-counsel is going international. Now with our acquisition with Thomson Reuters, we are being implemented in all the different products and services Westlaw provides. So we hope to have co-counsel available in the EU and other locations shortly. And with that, the ability to fine tune the jurisdiction and the prompting to make sure it's accurate.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I see our time is almost running to an end, so I'm going to drop one more question into the discussion, and then we can slowly move to the next panel. Question is, so I understand, and I guess everyone else as well, that when we automate and we make it more efficient, it's good in the long term for also law firm and of course for clients. But the human nature, at least in many countries, so also especially in Europe, for my personal practice, that clients as well are a little bit like reluctant to hear that their lawyers are using AI to answer their questions. And as, of course, many people would say that, of course, the computer can answer a lot of things much better than an actual human being. There are multiple people who would disagree and say, yeah, but we would really like a person who is alive and breathing to answer my query, and also like I'm paying money for someone who is actually alive to take care of my question. So how would you both think we can persuade clients as law firms to trust AI from that perspective?
I think firstly, we have to make law stay a human-centric business. Someone has to be responsible. Someone has to independently verify and check the work or the research that's done by an AI bot. You also need to be careful about things like client confidentiality and make sure that that's protected. Again, all of this has to be about putting the clients first. But at the end of the day, if we can do things more efficiently, and if we can have a system like we've created at Computational AI to show the user the sources so they can independently verify it, that'll be most likely to get the best outcome for the client.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Natalie, what would you think?
Absolutely. I second everything Daniel said. Lawyers have, roles of responsibility they have to adhere to. And those responsibilities include being current on different legal technology and staying up to date on the best practices to give the best justice. So lawyers have a duty to a certain extent to learn this different technology and AI and be transparent with their clients that they're using it. I've seen many law firms start to use transparency clauses within their engagement letters, letting people know we will be using AI, but you're always in control. That's something case tax values a lot too. The whole point is the human-centered approach. You're always in control and you're responsible for validating the results before you sign off as an attorney.
Perfect. As some would say, just keep a human in the loop, but let the laptop and the computer to pre-deliver,
Exactly.
facilitate your life a little bit, and then move forward. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for this wonderful panel. I wish both of you the best of luck with your endeavors in business, and I hope that more and more of us who would like to automate legal proceedings and make the life of clients and also regulatory agencies easier. And yeah, I will give the floor back to Thibaut, and we can proceed to the next panel.